So let's go over one-step equations. Okay. So let's just say I have this equation, k plus 2 is equal to 5. So you may be able to think in your head, well, something plus 2 equals 5. We all know that's 3. And that's great, but we need to make sure we know the steps on how to cancel it out, find the zero pair, and make sure we know how we got 3. This is really going to help you when you move on to two-step equations, or if you're working with bigger numbers. Okay, so we're going to go through the steps. So my goal when I solve equations is to get the variable by itself, to isolate the variable. So in order to do that, I have to get rid of this 2. Okay, and so something I like to do with my students is I like to split the equation into two sides. You see there's an equal sign. You see k plus 2 on one side and 5 on the other. So I'm going to kind of draw a line or a wall just to split that up. Okay, so now we clearly have two sides of the equation. So like I said, our goal is to get the variable k by itself. In order to do that, I need to get rid of the 2. I need to cancel it out. Well, we see that it's plus 2, kind of like a positive 2. So in order to get rid of it, I need to do the inverse or the opposite operation. So the opposite of a positive is a negative. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 2. Okay, well, 2 minus 2, or positive 2 minus 2, gives me 0. Okay, so this essentially cancels out. Okay, that's what we wanted to do, cancel it out. Well, in order to keep our equation balanced, whatever I do to one side, I need to do to the other side. So since I subtracted 2 on the left, I'm going to subtract 2 on the right. Well, 5 minus 2 gives us 3. So really what I'm left with is k on the left side. I'm going to keep my equal sign, and I'm left with 3 on this side. So we have k is equal to 3. So that is the steps to solving an equation. Okay. So let's try another one. Let's make this one a subtraction equation. So you can have any letter as your variable. So I'm just going to go with h. Okay. So let's do h minus 5 is equal to 3. So again, we have two different sides of the equation. I'm going to draw a line to symbolize that. So we can clearly see we have h minus 5 on the left, and we have 3 on the right-hand side of the equation. So in order to work it out, our goal again is to isolate the variable, get h all by itself. Well, in order to do that, we have to get rid of the minus 5. So we're just going to be thinking about what's the opposite of subtracting 5. Well, if I subtract 5, the opposite would be adding 5. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add 5 to both sides of the equation. Well, negative 5, if I start at negative 5 on the number line and I add 5 to it, I get back to 0. Well, if I have 3 and I add 5 to it, I get 8. So I'm really left with, I bring down my h. Okay, I have 0, let's cancel it out. I'm going to keep my equal sign, and I have now 8 on the right-hand side. So h is equal to 8. So let's work with a multiplication equation now. Okay, so if I have 3 times x, okay, so 3x. When we have a number next to a variable, we don't have to put multiplication symbol. So if I have 3x is equal to 18, and some of you might already know this, 3 times something gives you 18, that's fine. But again, the whole point is we need to make sure we can go through the steps. So just like when we add or subtract, we did the inverse operation. It's the same thing here. If I have 3 times x, well, I need to do the inverse operation, okay? So the opposite of multiplication will be division. So I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides. Okay, so we need to start remembering that fraction bar, it means to divide. Okay, so if I'm going to divide by 3, these cancel out. This gives us a 1 coefficient. So I'm left with x is equal to, and now we have to deal with 18 divided by 3. So how many times does 3 go into 18? Or 3 times something gives you 18. Well, 3 times 6 gives you 18. So 18 divided by 3 would be 6. We have x is equal to 6. Okay, so I'm going to do one more, but with division. Okay. So for this problem, I'm going to use x divided by 5. So x divided by 5 is equal to 5. Okay, so again, probably know this off the top of your head. Might be easy, but again, it's very important that we know our steps. So again, we're going to do the inverse operation. So if I have x divided by 5 on the left-hand side of our equation, I need to do the opposite. The opposite of division is multiplication. So the easiest way to do this is use our parentheses. Remember, parentheses mean multiply. So I'm going to multiply times 5 on both sides of the equation. Well, 5 and divided by 5 is 1, so we get a 1 coefficient, or just x. And 5 times 5, that gives us 25. So we have x is equal to 25. So it's really good to get in the habit of checking our work. So for all of these equations that we solved, we could easily plug in our number for x. So I'm going to do that here. Our original problem was x divided by 5 is equal to 5. Well, it says that x is 25. So I'm going to just double check really quick. 25 divided by 5 is equal to 5. Or some of us might like to write it like this. Well, 25 divided by 5, it is 5. So that is correct. Our answer would be correct. So it's really good. Let's get in the habit of checking these things. So you'll never get an equation wrong.